It is Thursday, the 12th day of August 2021. Hello there and welcome to the first edition of News Tonight here on UBC TV. First though, let's have a look at our top stories. In our top stories tonight, President Yoweri Museveni urges youth to take up opportunities in development sectors. Government to have Pfizer vaccine for children of between 12 and 18 years. Elsewhere in the world, Zambia starts voting in presidential election. And in sports, Olympic gold medalist Joshua Cheptegei seeking 1.7 billion shillings for training facility. Hello there and welcome once again. We are coming to you live online and on air from Broadcast House here on Nile Avenue. Elizabeth Nakakoni is on Sign Language Corner and I'm Rukidi Edward Kijanangoma. Now, President Yoweri Museveni has pledged more funding on sports with emphasis on low-cost techniques like employment of sports-leaning youth in government departments like in the armed forces. Now, this was during the reception of Uganda's team from the Tokyo 2020 Olympics that returned with 4 medals, whose winners have received brand new cars and promised houses for their parents. This was at a function that was held yesterday at Kololo. Take a watch.
Kololo Independence Ground has been a scene of memorable moments upon the return of Uganda's Olympic athletes. Uganda won 4 medals at the Games, finishing 36th on the globe and 2nd on the continent. At the occasion graced by President Yoweri Museveni and First Lady Janet Museveni, the medalists Joshua Cheptegei, Jacob Kiplimo and Peruth Chemutai received brand new cars with houses promised to their parents. President Museveni promised direct expenditure on sports, but also mooted low-cost techniques like employing of sports-leaning youth in government service, especially the armed forces.
This is just the tip of the iceberg. Uganda will become a very big sports country if we fully implement some of the things we are talking about, plus now more direct expenditure on sport.
The president also advised organic performances channeled through proper health, education, nutrition and competition. Much applause during his speech was for insisting that his pledge to reward continental, Commonwealth Games and Olympics medals with a salary be intensified. This pledge is from about 2011, but there has been much flouting of the monthly payment, with the president ordering arrears be paid immediately.
I just want to medal African level, Commonwealth and Olympics. Then silver, 3 million, bronze, 1 million. So, if it was partially carried out, your arrears will all be paid.
The First Lady and also Minister of Education and Sports, Janet Museveni, lauded the team and emphasized discipline to scale further heights.
Shun the negative influences that are tempting you away from winning the races that God has set before you in life. You see Cheptegei, Kiplimo, Chemutai and Kiprotich and all the other athletes in Team Uganda had to compete by themselves. No other person could race on his own before of these outstanding athletes. And that is how life is. Each one of us must run our own race in life and run it well.
This was by far Uganda's best outing at any sports event, collecting the Pearl 4 medals that add on to the 7 since 1956 for a total collection of 11 medals, including 4 gold medals.
Thank you so much, John Barnes, Centamo, with that report. And of course, that is some good news there in as far as those athletes that put our flag high are supposed to be getting their goods or goodies, as we can say. Now let's go on and we look at the COVID-19 vaccination, where government is expecting to receive over 1 million doses of Pfizer vaccine in the next 3 months to start the vaccination of children between 12 to 18 years. President Yoweri Museveni hinted on the vaccination of children, but in the meantime, the only vaccine approved for inoculation of children is Pfizer. Adiana Kuti reports.
Government is to have children between the age of 12 to 18 vaccinated against the deadly coronavirus, and this partly explains why schools will have to remain under lockdown for some time. However, arrangements are underway to have over 1 million doses of Pfizer vaccine recommended by the World Health Organization for use in children.
But the only vaccine that has scientifically been proven to be used on these age groups is the Pfizer. We are expecting Pfizer in the coming months, and we hope we shall be communicating the details to vaccinate those age groups of children. But for now, the AstraZeneca can only be taken by those ones who are 18 years and above.
In a related development, the general public is not open to vaccination, as emphasis is still on priority groups like the health workers, security personnel, teachers, the elderly, and those above 18 years with underlying health conditions.
So we intend to reach about 150,000 health workers, which emphasizes the core and the reason why we are still having the health workers as a priority group even during this ongoing vaccination. So all health workers who have not yet received the initial dose, we appeal to them to ensure that they get the first dose. Those ones who are due for the second dose at 12 weeks since the initial dose are also encouraged to reach the nearest vaccination center.
The vaccination exercise resumed on 10th of August 2021 after government received more vaccines, and 32 vaccination points have been designated in Kampala alone.
We encourage all residents of Kampala and those that are within the city to use vaccination centers that are close to their residences, other than flocking into the main ones like City Hall. There are 32, and all these have been strategically picked out because of the populations in these areas. Our working time starts, vaccination time starts at 9 o'clock in the morning, and by 4 p.m. we are done to allow our health workers and all those involved in the vaccination process to go home.
So far, a total of 250,664 people have been fully vaccinated, and the target is to reach at least 22 million people. Adiana Kuti, UBC.
To our top story now, where President Yoweri Museveni has tasked youth in Uganda to be productive by taking up opportunities in the 4 development sectors the NRM government has been promoting. The president says government will channel support through these sectors to enhance youth employment. Mr. Museveni said this during the celebrations to mark the International Youth Day at Kololo Ceremonial Grounds. Samuel Senono gives us more.
Youth Day celebrations have been held under the theme Transforming Food Systems, Youth Innovation for Human and Planetary Health. President Museveni, who informed the gathering composed of youth leaders from across the country that he was a former youth, asked them to engage in productive activities. Museveni says they should take up ventures in the 4 priority sectors of development.
The 4 sectors are commercial agriculture. Please, if you can, be in commercial agriculture. Because when you come here, you make speeches, you really exhaust yourselves with speeches. Number 1, commercial agriculture. Number 2, industries, factories, big or small factories. Number 3, repeated the sectors well. Number 3, services. These borders, transport, roasting women's hair. Then number 4, which is a new sector, ICT. So please, you the youth leaders, be very clear, don't be polite, because you are going to kill your people. So therefore, please, in our advocacy, talking, be clear that the wealth and the jobs are mainly to be found in the 4 sectors.
He also warned them against looking at jobs in the public service. On skilling and educating the youth, Museveni called upon youth leaders to join him in advocating for free education in the country.
I use this occasion to call on the youth movement and youth members of parliament and youth leaders in the whole country to defend free education. Kick out these parasites who have long turned education into business. Education is not a business. It is an empowerment effort.
Museveni also scoffed at politicians who are faulting government's approach in dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic.
Now, the other day I had my friend Dr. Besigye talking about opening of schools. Schools should be opened. These people don't have a plan. The government doesn't have a plan, because if they had immunized the teachers, the schools could be opened, because the children, even if they get sick, they recover. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Besigye. But you have not thought the problem through properly. Actually, the teachers are priority list of immunization.
The event was attended by the Vice President, the Minister of Gender, Labour and Social Development, youth leaders from across the country, and development partners. Samuel Senono, UBC News.
To matters pertaining to land, where Lands Minister Judith Nabakoba has directed security officials, local leaders and resident district commissioners in Gulu district to closely monitor and evaluate the area land offices, which have been widely labeled as the habitual causes of land conflicts in the region. Minister Nabakoba was in company of State Minister for Urbanization Maria Obiga Kanya in Gulu district to officiate at the groundbreaking ceremony of a 7.78-kilometer road construction project funded by the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development through its Uganda Support to Municipal Infrastructure Development Package, USMID. Robert Onyango gives us more from Gulu.
And you be assured of our full support and political will.
We are going to hear more than 1,000 local people and help them. We will work together to make the beautiful tomorrow to Gulu.
Today we are so grateful that the presidential pledge for tarmacking St. Popol the Second Road, which runs from Fogot Trading Center to the airport, is being fulfilled. This road has a lot of importance to us, the Catholic, because this is the road which John Paul II traveled on when he came to visit Uganda in 1993.
We have been waiting for this road to be tarmac, to have a good road which has the name of the late Pope John Paul, you know, how big that Pope was. So today we are so joyful. We are very happy that USMIC has taken on this road.
So we are going to emphasize the issue of physical planning during this time. Government is going to emphasize it from now on. And physical planning is not the responsibility of the ministry in Kampala. We set the standards, we set the laws, we set the regulations, but the actual physical planning and implementation on the ground requires you, the local leaders, all of us to work together.
District land boards and the area land committees, I don't know, RDC, town clerk, you need to supervise them. You need to supervise them. At times, they do things without even considering the procedure. The notices of application are not followed. The communities are not involved. They just wake up in a day and land is given away. They are telling them, please leave. And that causes confusion and conflicts. So would ask you, the district leaders, the MPs, please tighten on our district land boards to make sure that government land is managed well.
Lands Minister Judith Nabakova ending that report there. Now, investors in Uganda need to embrace opportunities in paper bag manufacturing to help the country get rid of plastic carrier bags. Now, while touring Bweyogerere Industrial Park, State Minister for Investment Evelyn Anite underscored the need for Uganda to build more capacity in making alternatives to polythene materials. Anite's optimism comes a few weeks after Cabinet adopted a resolution to ban use of plastic carrier bags in Uganda. Henry Okrut reports.
At Bweyogerere Industrial Park in Wakiso District, we find crane paper bags. It is a paper bag manufacturing factory where activity and business is seen happening. Branded packs for various products are being manufactured for packaging with a promising production capacity.
And the government policies are also supporting the manufacturing. And during COVID time, government support was also good towards manufacturing.
The arrival for an official tour by State Minister for Investment Evelyn Anite was signal enough for the future of this factory in conserving the environment.
So our government policy of banning Kavera is not going to be frustrated because we are protecting the environment, and here we have created a solution. We have a solution of, if you're not using Kavera, what are you using? Now you're going to have the packaging materials, and it is manufactured right here in Kampala.
About 2 weeks ago, the Ugandan cabinet reinstituted a ban on plastic carrier bags, a move whose success will depend on increased awareness creation.
Now that government has banned the use of Kaveras, there's an opportunity in packaging. So we only have about 10 factories that manufacture. So we need many more to come so that we are able to meet the demand of packaging materials in the country.
It is to make people more aware about the plastic which is spoiling the environment and agricultural sector of Uganda, and encouraging people to divert to alternative means of packaging.
Minister Anite also toured the textile and branding factories from Luzira Industrial Park. She was accompanied by officials from Uganda Investment Authority.
Even when we're industrializing, we want to industrialize in a sustainable, green way so that we create green jobs. Because if we destroy the environment now, then the future generations are not going to have where to begin from.
So when MINEMA gives us a license to operate in whatever industrial park we have, I think that is considering the balance of the ecological system of the country. So we leave the technocrats of MINEMA to do that. We will not operate an industrial park without their clearance.
In these ventures, many youth have been trained and employed and can participate to grow Uganda's economy. Henry Okrut, UBC.
News Tonight will not be taking a short break, but we'll be coming with much more, including what's happening in the world of business.
We've cut and reduced our MTN Momo withdrawal rates. Now you can withdraw mobile money at the lowest rates. You also get MTN Senchu points when you deposit, send, and withdraw MTN mobile money. Visit our Momo agents countrywide and withdraw mobile money at our reduced rates from 1st May 2021. Everywhere you go, MTN.
Echa COVID-19 chijja kugwa only if we stay at home, observe physical distancing, wear masks properly, sanitize or wash our hands with soap and water regularly, or get vaccinated now.
Are you looking for an excellent university? African Bible University is truly special, and our graduates are unique. At ABU, we offer bachelor degrees in education, business, mass communication, and biblical studies. If you want to make an impact on the next generation, apply now at www.abu.ac.ug or call us on 0706 346 587. African Bible University, teaching the treasures of God's truth.
Uganda, today is a great day to work towards your dreams. Dial *185 *7# and select savings to save as low as 500 Ugandan shillings on regular savings or 250,000 Ugandan shillings for fixed deposits. Airtel Money Super Saver is powered by KCB Bank Uganda. Airtel Money, instant, secure, borderless. T's and C's apply.
The world record has been broken by almost exactly 2 seconds. He's Joshua Cheptegei of Uganda. This is superb running.
I've shared my story with the world, with you, but you've only seen the half of it. Because to truly know and appreciate my story, you will have to see it for yourself. My home, my Uganda. From the breathtaking waterfalls of the Nile to every beautiful sunrise and sunset. From the amazing blankets of green to the priceless treasures that lie within. Along the way, I have made some unusual friends. The world-famous silverbacks. When I see them, I behold Uganda's treasures. So yes, you see me and celebrate Uganda. I assure you, there is a lot more in store. I have lived here for years, but even I am yet to see its full glory. Join me. Let's take on the power of Africa together.
Therefore, understanding this model. Hey, excuse me, lady. Who do you think you are? A queen?
Hey, haven't you heard? Get Airtel Chillax bundles and browse like a queen.
Get Airtel Chillax bundles that do not expire and browse like a queen or king. Dial *175# or use My Airtel app. Airtel, the smartphone network.
When John and Mary were 6 years old, they were introduced to savings by their parents and class teacher. They set dreams inspired by their saving clubs at school.
I'm saving for a ball. I'm saving for a school bag.
As time passed by, the set dreams were achieved, and they were further motivated to set fresh, bigger and better dreams, all of which came to pass.
I'm currently saving to buy a bicycle.
I'm now saving for an academic tour.
Dear parents, guardians and teachers, it is our duty to empower our children and people around us to make reasonable monetary choices and introducing a lifelong money-saving culture. Now is the time to start saving for our dreams and a much better tomorrow. This message is brought to you by the German Corporation, German Sparkassen Stiftung Eastern Africa, and Uganda Cooperative Savings and Credit Union.
Welcome back from that break, and this is News Tonight here on UBC TV. We are glad that you've made UBC TV your channel of choice. Let's have a look now at what's happening in the world of business, and we go to the Bank of Uganda. The Monetary Policy Committee meeting of August has decided to keep the central bank rate CBR on hold at 6.5%. Now, the committee has noted that the second COVID-19 wave and associated containment measures have interrupted economic recovery, and economic growth is expected to slow down in the quarter to September 2021.
Despite being the lowest CBR rate to be announced, Bank of Uganda insists that the 6.5% maintenance since June this year should enable affordable lending rates by commercial banks to credit-worthy customers.
We see that, for example, the weighted average for overall shilling-dominated loans in the industry as at June was 17%. Now, out of that weighted average, obviously there are corporates that borrowed at 7%. There are corporates that borrowed at 10%, depending on which bank. And then you have the other smaller borrowers or personal loans that obviously go at a high interest rate, 19, 20%. But overall, the weighted was 17%. Now, in 2020, when we are starting with the lockdown, that was around the March, we are talking about trailing interest rate around 23%, weighted average. So moving from 23 to 17, that automatically means, yes, there has been a response, although the response has been very, very gradual.
However, the announcement comes at a time when the COVID-19 credit relief measures instated by government are planned to end with this quarter in September 2021. This could threaten businesses who are already grappling with low aggregate demand.
Inflation remains subdued simply because output or economic activity is much lower than the potential growth. You're talking about, if you're talking about growth of 3.5 or to 4, the potential is above 6.5. So it automatically means that we have what we call a spare capacity or the negative output gap.
In other words, it was important to lift some parts of the economy despite continued community spread of the COVID-19 virus, advising that citizens should strictly abide by the standard operating procedures complemented by the country's health system.
We all know that when people are dying because of the pandemic, and you are saying let us continue opening so that we have income. At the end of the day, you will get the income and you are buried with it. So, okay, you are actually buried without eating it. So that is really the argument. So the question is, how do you really try to balance the two? Try to open a bit with SOPs, okay? But also don't open up everything so that people get infected.
The Bank of Uganda has projected economic growth to return to 6 to 7% in the financial year 2021-2025, indicating that economic activity is expected to remain below the pre-pandemic path of less than 3% for an extended time. Wadulo Makanod, UBC News in Kampala.
At what's happening in the world.
The center is located in Kapchorwa.
And we look at 5,000-meter world record holder and Olympic gold medalist Joshua Cheptegei has launched a 100-day fundraising drive to complete his training facility in Kapchorwa district. Now, fresh from winning gold and silver at the just concluded 2020 Tokyo Olympics, Cheptegei highlighted the fact that his initiative was just 1.7 billion shillings away from completion. Now, construction work at this facility that sits on a 6-acre piece of land commenced on November 20th, 2018 and has since taken a delay. With the construction of Teriet High Altitude Training Center yet to be completed over 9 years now since the inception of the project, Cheptegei's project will boast talent identification in Sebei region.
This is in good condition to enable the athletes succeed at regional and global events. We also envision a first of its kind, a museum for Ugandan athletes that will continue to attract both tourists and teach the values and ethics of Ugandan athletes while authentically telling the story. We call upon Ugandans here and in the diaspora, the corporate companies, and all the well-wishers to join the drive to nurture the generation of runners in our country. This project represents the only best possible chance to continue the legacy of winning Ugandan athletes and inspire communities of athletes all across the country to aim for the best.
Geoffrey Cheptegei ending that report there, and that brings us to the end of this first edition of News Tonight here on UBC TV. Our next bulletin comes your way at 10 p.m. on sign language. It has been Elizabeth Nakakoni, and I am Rukidi Edward Kijanangoma. See you at 10.
Previously on the chain.
You didn't acknowledge it when I sent it.
I wanted to, but I first wanted to understand why.
There you are.
Honey, are you done? Be fast before it finally goes down.
I'm sorry guys if I've interrupted you. Enjoy. I'm going to my room.
It will depend on her recovery rate.
You think so, or you're certain?
I'm certain.
Then you're mistaken.
I'm not mistaken, Dr. Otim.
Well, you didn't give any assurances. You only said my point is noted.
That's what I'm saying.
You seem not to understand what I'm talking about. And I'm thinking of something silly one of these days. My friend.
No good die of services you've done. You've created, you've cared, you've nursed in these 50 years of service.
Called you yet? Did you?
I shouldn't be chasing him.
Who said that you're chasing him? You know the guy is busy. You know it.
But we all create time for what we like or want.
I agree, but we're talking about a medical doctor here whose primary focus, saving lives.
I'm as well sick, so he should come and treat me too.
Sick of what?
Sick of his love.
Oh my God. Sick of what? Oh, wow. Yeah. Sexy.
Yes?
Do you remember my cousin?
Yes, I do.
I warned her when she was sleeping with her pastor.
Oh.
Now she has started complaining about him.
And why?
He said the man doesn't have her time. She said the man doesn't have time for her. Today it's church elders meeting. Tomorrow it's church workers meeting. Next tomorrow it's church overnight. He doesn't even understand the guy. He can't touch her like this.
Are you saying that I'm going to end up like your cousin after I get married to Dr. Vincent?
Not exactly. But I'm trying to you try to understand me. I'm trying to explain to you the situation because Dr. Vincent is always busy. He may not have time for you.
Oh, really?
Yes. Wait. Don't you have bachelors at radio station?
There are.
Why? Choose one of them. I mean...
Please, I know what you mean. He is all I want. Others are not my type. Right now, he's all I want for my life, okay?
Oh. I like your choice and the determination.
You better do.
I wish you luck.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Good morning, Princess. How are you?
I'm fine.
Yeah, you're fine. I see. Now you came. Huh? This is what we tell you, that early detection of cancer and treatment saves life.
Saves life.
Indeed.
I thank God for that.
And now, as you go back home, please remember continuing your medication. Okay? You're welcome. You're welcome. Careful. And please don't forget regular checkup. Okay? Yes. Please don't forget to fire. Good. You're still a strong woman, huh? Yeah, that's great. Please. Forget it. Please, you look after her. Yeah. Jenny, remember regular checkup. Okay. Bye-bye. Yeah.
Nice house you got.
Oh, thank you.
So where can I get the kitchen? I need to drop off this.
It's over there.
Alright. I need to change anything casual. Can I move with any? Anything that can cover up my body.
Okay, alright.
Where are you heading to?
I'm going to the bedroom to get you something to.
Alright, let's go together then.
You're really a good cook.
Thanks. Would you like me to come cook for you often?
No, it depends.
And what?
I honestly don't know. It's getting late.
It's 9 p.m. and it's obvious I can't go to my place right now. By the time I reach home, it will be 11 p.m. and main area is always dangerous at that time. Oh, you seem uncomfortable with me around. It's okay. It's alright. I'll leave.
No, that's not what I'm saying. Okay, I will arrange for you someone to stay in the guest room.
You don't need to stress yourself. You can manage your room. want to leave the house.
I told you. You see? Very right, madam. Very right.
But where are we going to reach? Neither winner is mine. I know.
We almost do the same.
I know.
Sure.
Neither winner is mine. My God. Honey, let's not that God will stay the whole day with us. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to prepare for you something.
I see.
I know you're hungry.
Are you alright?
See you, honey.
Good, good. I'm waiting. Who's that?
Me, Papa.
Kato! What's wrong with you? Kato. Okay, have a seat, have a seat. Sit. So what happened? Why are you coming from this hour of the night? School? School? By this time? What happened? I see you leaving. What happened?
Honey, I heard someone knocking.
Yes.
Hey, it's Kato.
Kato.
Good evening. Why are you late school late? How are you? What is wrong? What happened? You will be fine, my dear. Take out, you will be fine.
What?
Sorry. It's past 9. And your school is 2 hours away by road. Why did you sleep late?
That's why you got night.
Sorry, you'll be fine. And lock in. Okay. Sorry. You'll be fine, eh?
Good morning, Dr. Wayne.
Good morning, Dr.
Did you sleep well?
I can hardly say that. I kept on looking up and I'm not looking for you, but was too tired to come look for you. Why didn't you sleep with me?
Well, I just felt like sleeping here.
Look, Doctor, I'm under doubt. If I think of you taking an advantage of me, then I wouldn't come here in the first place, let alone spending a night.
That's not it. It's just so sometimes, even when I'm alone, I just end up sleeping like this.
You can keep on lying to yourself. As for me, I'm not buying that. I think anyone home? Oh, there you are. Well, good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Mrs. Fatima. It's 7 a.m. Is there a problem?
No. Why? I just wanted to check on you. Good morning.
And why?
Dr. Wayne. I think I should go and shower. Welcome, Miss Fatima Numbers.
Look, I'm really sorry for barging in you like this, but I think I have to go.
No. It's actually all right.
Thank you very much. I have to go.
Yes, please. Oh. You passed by from the salon. Welcome back. What did I do? What's wrong with you? You're looking good. Your hair, your nail. What is it? What's the problem? Your phone is ringing. Maida, who is calling? It's Dr. Vincent calling. It's your phone.
No good die. Cause of Uganda, cause I is you too. Thanks to the brave men and women for the services you've done. You've treated, you've cared, you've nursed in these 50 years of service.
Welcome to English in a Minute. Lions are fierce hunters. What the lion wants to eat, the lion eats. Let's hear lion's share used in a conversation.
Wow, we made a lot of money at our charity bake sale.
I know. We're rich. We're rich. We're rich.
You do know that the lion...
Coming soon on UBC.
If you get your money, the first thing is to have a financial plan.
So she was in a miserable state. What we contributed to her, her things were coming up.
This is where my journey started, from this building, and I was paying a rent of about 15,000. And basically why I came into this, looking at my capital and what that capital could serve.
Nasoka nemba street kid mchuga mbarara nimara myezi mwenda ndika sako kati nyina picha abiri muta klasi yange nakiteka ku million 12
ubwo mutika tibwengendo ogutunga bagumpamu emitwalo 12 oba 15.
A rich man can have money but he doesn't know how to use it, and a poor man has a little but he knows to use it because he has got this knowledge.
This weekend on UBC.
Heads on, you know. Baby, chosen baby. Sweetie baby, the rose is a kubuzeko. Ikubuzeko. Orecho wambuzeko. Adeko kuatsa. Baby, no de wakaseno. Ulire nechusa, mera kwe no woza. Na bala sawa, kafi yuteko kwata. Ninara tuka, kusikiyo tunyewa. Newe banyota, watazika konyewa. Tuzikiza tara jikomina wu. Tusembeza sukali kumpine bienje abo bagala kukukupa bakuchabo eno kapyata kwetulo onywere tula wano kutwale.
Qualified
Professional and compassionate doctors talking real solutions to real health problems.
It is the DOCtalk show again, your week's favorite show that brings to you information about health. And it's very important because we know health is your wealth. Your host again tonight, Dr. Joseph Gavin Nyanzi, and I'm very delighted to have with me in the studio Dr. Daniel Okello, a public health specialist and the Director of Public Health and Environment at the Kampala Capital City Authority. Dr. Daniel Okello, you're very welcome. Please say hello to our viewers.
Thank you, Joseph, and hello, viewers out there. I'm glad to be on the DOCtalk show, and definitely, I know by the end of this show, you'll have picked up a few tips on how we can keep ourselves healthy, especially in this period of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Dr. Daniel introduces the topic of discussion tonight. It is COVID-19. It's been a topic since 2019, and it just keeps getting bigger, it just keeps getting mightier, you know. And you know, recently, about a few days ago, we had the lift of the lockdown by the President of Uganda, and that means a lot. And over the weeks during the second wave, Kampala capital city has been one of the biggest contributors to the diagnosed cases of COVID. And so there is no better person we would have in studio to discuss this issue. Dr. Okello, you know, while we were in the lockdown, we were in our homes. And so little wonder the cases came down. But we are back on the streets, we are back in the markets, we are back in the malls, we are back in the taxis. What is the way forward for Ugandans, especially those that live in the capital city, where the big burden of disease is?
Yeah, when you look at Kampala, we have been consistent in our contribution to the total cases. We hover around 53% of all the cases in the country are in Kampala. That just tells you that we are the hotspot, or we are the epicenter. Those words have been, I think COVID has made us get to realize those words are. But definitely what that means is that here is where, for no other word, here is where we are having a lot of diffuse community infection. And you may ask why. When you look at COVID, it tends to associate with congregate, or where people crowd, but where there is also a lot of movement. World over, cities tend to be more affected for the simple reason that in cities, we tend to live in dense environments, we tend to interact much more. So you find, and that's why you find Kampala has a bigger contribution. Now, about the way forward, and I'll start from your opening statement. As you're saying, health is wealth. And I always ask people that when you have your wealth, how many people share your bank account or your bank account number? How many people share your ATM PIN? Now, the fact that you don't want many people to share your ATM PIN or to share your checkbook, why do you want people to mess around with your health? So again, you don't want people to affect you. What do? Start with your personal, as I say, your personal space or your personal responsibility, how you can take care of yourself. And what we have done, we have put them in a set of simple rules that have been known to be called SOPs. And we'll tell you, what do? Put on your mask. When you put on your mask, you will know that when somebody sneezes, you won't, and that's how the virus will be transmitted through aerosols. You won't be able to get it. Keep your physical distance. You know the aerosols move within a defined space. So if you're at least 2 meters apart with a mask, you're reducing the opportunity. We know that you can't afford to touch surfaces or touch door handles. So since sanitize often, wash your hands. Those basic steps will make you move a long way. But as again with personal health, is that be safe before you actually regret. So again, we're for Kampala. We know there are places where there is congregate populations, people tend to mix a lot. If you don't need to go there, don't go. We know we want to go and visit our friends in their arcades, you want to bonga, you want to have conversations with them. Let's hold that for the time being. But now, since there are also vaccines, let's also not forget to be able to vaccinate. When there's an opportunity,
there is no harm and there is no shame in being vaccinated. Actually, by vaccinating, you're not only protecting yourself, but you're also protecting people around you. So very quickly, I can say from the personal point of view, that could be a way forward we could start with.
Thank you so much, Dr. Daniel. The other very key thing that has come up since the lifting of the lockdown is the resumption of public transportation. Public transportation by taxis, public transportation by borders. How are we, what is KCCA doing to regulate this in the city? What message are we passing on to the people? Most of the people in Kampala actually is the means of transport. How are we going to fit within that public transport system and then stay safe?
Okay. Joseph, the other day I was discussing with my colleagues and I was telling them we have about 15,000 taxis in Kampala.
Wow.
And let's assume we are at half capacity. Those are about 8 people. So that means that at any one time there are 120,000 people who are moving. Let's assume all the taxis are there.
Oh.
Even if you assume it's 10,000, that is 80,000 people. Let's say they get full 4 times in it, 4 or 5 times. So you'll have 400,000 people who will have moved during the day. Now, if I have probably 10 people or 20 who have COVID, or even if you say that the positivity rate is probably 5%, that could tell you that potentially the number of people who will be in a taxi at one time. Now, if you all put on masks and if you all separate, the chances of you transmitting from one person to another tend to be less. So if we have 400,000 people, I think 10% of 400,000 is about 40,000, 5% comes to about 20,000. So let's even assume there are 1,000 people who have COVID and are moving around Kampala at every one moment, and each of them has been to those taxis, and even half have not put on masks. What is going to happen? Or half have not social distanced. The potential for transmission is enormous. So that's why when we say public transport has been released, but let us maintain the basics of putting on a mask and having half capacity. You break any of them, you've actually breached what has been your cover, and we'll have an explosion. People are talking about the third wave. One of the entries for us to have the intervals between the third wave being very short is us not maintaining the SOPs in public transport. So I implore you, and I implore you please, if you're using public transport, if you don't have to use public transport, one, it's not necessary that you use it. If you have to use it, make sure that you put on a mask, make sure that you social distance. Strangely, Joseph, have you tried smoking in a taxi?
No.
They will kick you out, yeah?
Exactly, they will.
So why don't we kick out people who don't have masks and are not social distancing?
Wow.
We are doing that for people who smoke, and probably with cigarettes, yes, smoking public transport, is wrong,
yeah.
But the effects come later. For COVID, the effects come sooner. So we have an example to set. Let us do that.
Wow, this is very, very powerful presentation. Emphasis to you, our dear viewers. SOPs, SOPs, SOPs. They cannot be overemphasized. Let's do the hand washing. Let's keep the masks on. Let's do the social distancing. I know over the last time when the lockdown was lifted, before long the taxis were again full. Please stand to your ground and say, we are supposed to have a maximum of 7 people in this taxi so that we keep this sickness at bay. I guess it's the same story about the malls in Kampala. Malls, arcades, markets, and even we've seen many of traders along the streets.
Yeah, it's a similar thing where people congregate, where people are mixing, and where people... Yes, there is the issue that we have been doing things this way, as we call the status quo bias. Things have been doing this way. For me to go and shop, I need to go straight to the shop. I need to pick what I need. I need to pick the goods and put them in a bus. I need to sit on the same bus, and I need to go to Arua. Or I need to go to Kabong or Abim, where I come from. But we are now saying, can we think about doing things a little bit different, where we don't have to have a lot of interaction? If you see how many people practically have to go and pick things, can't you? Because there are other people who call. Many of us import vehicles from Japan or you import certain things. Previously, probably people used to fly, but these days, people go and import the vehicle, it comes to Mombasa. Previously, people would even drive to Mombasa, but now they wait for it in Kampala. So definitely, we can also do things differently. If you don't have to go to the shop, we know you can call somebody to put it on a bus and collect. But again, people who come to the shop and say hello, want to hang around the shops, may not be necessary. So really, let us again put on masks. People who don't have to be in these arcades, don't be there. You don't have to have everybody in your shop to make a sale. You can have few people and still make the same sale.
That is really very instructive. The message is very loud and clear. You and I are now the frontline soldiers. Still here in studio with Dr. Daniel Okello from KCCA, and we are taking a short break. We will be back in a minute, reminding you of our social media handles. That is on Facebook, the DOCtalk Show, on Twitter and YouTube, the DOCtalk Show. Please share that link with your friends and family. They cannot miss out on this very good information. See you in a bit.
The Ministry of Health informs the general public that amidst the difficult times of the pandemic, routine immunization for all children under 5, those eligible for HPV vaccines, and women of childbearing age is still going on in all our health facilities. Parents and caregivers, take all your children for immunization as per their schedule. All vaccines are safe, effective, and free. Remember to observe the COVID-19 prevention measures as you go for immunization services. Wear a mask properly, covering your mouth and nose. Wash your hands regularly with soap and clean water or use an alcohol-based sanitizer. Maintain a physical distance of at least 2 meters from others and avoid crowds. This message is from the Ministry of Health with support from partners. You are watching the DOCtalk Show.
Coming soon on UBC.
If you get your money, the first thing is to have a financial plan.
So she was in a miserable state. What we contributed to her things were coming up.
This is where my journey started, from this building, and I was paying a rent of about 15,000. And basically why I came into this, looking at my capital and what that capital could serve.
Nasoka nemba street kid mchuga mbarara nimara myezi 9 ndika sako kati nyina picha abiri muta klasi yange nakiteka ku million 12
ogwo mutikati bwengendo ogutunda bagumpamu emitwalo 12 oba 15.
A rich man can have money but he doesn't know how to use it, and a poor man has a little but he knows to use it because he has got this knowledge.
You are watching the DOCtalk Show.
Yeah, just before we went into the break, you highlighted about the fact that actually many of us may go back to our normal life because in our minds we know we are out of lockdown, so now we can resume the old life. Actually, I've been the other day I was traveling with some friends, and one of them cracked a joke and said, "I wish somebody should tell the government let them open the bars just for 1 week, and then after that they close." So there is that element now that we are out of lockdown, people are going to go back to their normal life. Dr. Kello, please say something about that.
Yeah, when you look at human behavior, there are certain things they have seen that tend to blow our judgment a little bit, and I'll give what. It was noted that he believed that he could actually drive much faster because he felt that he was a little bit invisible. So when he put on the seatbelt, he neglected the competing risk of speed. Now, when you look at infectious diseases and what is happening during COVID, because people have been, they have been opened up and some sectors have been lessened. So the competing, people will look at more, what is this that I need to do to make money, or what you call it to survive, or to make my business thrive. Now, the competing risk that has been there for COVID tends to be neglected. And that is what they will actually call a pitfall of judgment. Now, when you say that, oh, I should have actually thought about this earlier because you think the risk is actually less. And that tends to happen in this period. And for emphasis, you'll find we are going to have an increase in numbers because of those pitfalls, people neglecting the competing risks of COVID and saying we need to make something for the day. Now, if that is not managed, then that's when you say the third wave will tend to move closer. The intervals between the second and third wave will move closer. So outside there, let's know that yes, you're going to go to your duka, you're going to go to your stall. Going to your stall or leaving home does not mean COVID is not there. COVID is still there, so let's not remove that risk. Just because you're now moving in the middle of Kampala does not mean you don't have to put on a mask. Put on your mask. Just because this is your friend does not mean COVID has gone away and I should be able to hug him. Maintain that distance. You can be polite enough and say, you know what, I love you so much that I want you to stay alive. Let me not be the cause of you spending those millions because you are in hospital. The other is, there's also what you tend to fear what you don't see. And in childhood, those would be the stories that would tell you that there's a kokoro there you've never seen, so there's something there. So that fear tends to be there. And in the beginning of COVID, because people used to say, do you know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who has COVID? Do you know, then afterwards came, do you know somebody who knows somebody who has died of COVID? Now, strangely, because it happened to be unknown and people would not realize, in the first lockdown, people were very strict because it is not something they had seen. Later on now with this interaction, people tend to say, okay, I have seen it. What is it going to do to me? And that we need to make sure that, as you're saying, that just because you have seen it does not mean that does not do what it has done. We have lost close to 2,000 people due to COVID.
Yeah.
And I tell people that when I was in my primary school...
Actually at 2,700 now.
When you're in primary school, you have primary schools of 900 or 1,000. Now imagine now at my age, I sit back and I say, you know what? I don't have any OB in primary school. Now that is the significance of those numbers of people. So when you put it, losing 2,000 people is probably losing everybody you were ever with in secondary school, losing everybody you were with in primary school. So let's not take those numbers as statistics. And this has been in 1 year, probably.
Yeah.
Actually, the majority of those cases, I think, occurred in the last 6 months or in this wave that happened. So yes, again, just because people have died doesn't mean that it's the end of it. One death is too much. Let us not make us have another death or have any other deaths. So again, as you were saying, these are things we need to guard against. And that's how the human behavior is. But as government and also as public health specialists, we'll continue giving reminders, we'll continue giving the information. And by the way, another thing, people tend to feel this sense of embarrassment. How do I ask this question? I was told there is no stupid question. So don't fear asking, don't fear consulting, don't fear saying what you need to do. Don't even fear asking how I should put on the mask. Ask your neighbor, how do they put on this mask? At times I see some of us putting on the mask in the wrong manner. So, and we'll tell you, the basic is the disposable ones. There's that hard bit of the mask. When you look at this kind of mask, there's a top that is hard. Now it is hard because it's supposed to fit the contours of the nose. So when I bend it like this, you see, it will be able to fit the nose. Then when you look at the blue side, it will be the outer side. But you also make sure you cover the mouth and the nose. I see some people leaving the nose out. And I don't think many of us have those sizes that cannot fit. I think it's big enough for it to fit in everybody. So again, there's no harm in asking on what you need to do to take care of yourself.
Sure, and still picking up on that, Dr. Okello, I've just been reminded that while in medical school, we were given the definition of health. according to WHO. It's not the absence of disease, but it's a state of well-being, physically, mentally, socially, spiritually, economically, psychologically, and different aspects of life. But I think it's coming to 2 years now since the advent of COVID, and there's a way as health specialists, both in public health and clinical, there's a way we've been really focused on the disease of COVID. How do we bring out that aspect of health? Because I believe one of the issues that informed the opening up, people are struggling, people's businesses are closing, you know. People no longer go to church. Of course, church is still closed and the mosques are still closed, but those are the socializing, those other aspects are still really very down. So how do we handle the bigger aspect of health and not just the disease?
It's, you know, as you said, it's a disease, it's a pandemic. We are trying to say how do we see how we can survive within the pandemic. And yes, health is that, but it has a personal and community. But when you're treating a disease, there are certain things that you tend to forego for you to get better. Now the question is, what do we forego such that we can be able to live? When you're very sick, you'll be admitted. So you're going to forego the luxury of your home such that the doctor can take care of you.
Yeah.
And when you need an operation, you're going to forego having a very nice skin. You're going to have a scar. There was a time, I think one of my colleagues was in a hospital and a patient came complaining bitterly about the scar he had left. The doctor was saying, but I saved your life. But the patient was complaining about the scar. Now it is, how do we make that, that balance between the patient appreciating that the scar was a consequence of you being alive, and the doctor also understanding that probably the scar should also have, the scar may be there, but how do I explain to the patient that you're going to actually have this scar, but in the long run you're going to be better. So about health again, it's we need to forego certain things, and one of the things we are foregone is putting on, I mean, when you put on the mask, at times you find it difficult to recognize somebody. But there have been advantages. I think flu has reduced, and our percentage, I think, was low. We were, I think, in the 30s or 20s. People never used to wash their hands. But what COVID has done now, it has made us realize that we really need to wash our hands, and we're up to, I think, 70 to 80%, which has been very helpful. So the challenge where I see, as you say, complete health, is where we need to balance the mental health, and as you're saying, the economic bit.
Yes.
And with the mental health, knowing how social we are as Africans, it's going to be challenging, but as I say, we may have to take that as a scar, but we are going to get back better.
This is very, very empowering, very refreshing, and a message of hope. I know sooner or later this will be behind us, but period between this getting behind us and where we are now will be quickened by our behavior, just like Dr. Keller has been telling us. Very, very, very powerful information. And just reminding you, please share our link, our social media handles, that DOCtalk Show, on Facebook, on Twitter, and YouTube. This is a message you can't just keep to yourself. We're going to take a short break, and we will be back for more information.
You are watching the DOCtalk Show.
We've cut and reduced our MTN Momo withdrawal rates. Now you can withdraw mobile money at the lowest rates. You also get MTN Central Points when you deposit, send, and withdraw MTN mobile money. Visit our Momo agents countrywide and withdraw mobile money at our reduced rates from 1st May 2021. Everywhere you go. MTN.
Patriotism is a feeling of love, devotion, and the willingness to sacrifice for one's country.
I say no to corruption because I put my country first. I choose peace over violence because I put my country first.
I love Uganda. I serve
patriotic, Uganda first. This message is brought to you by the National Secretariat for Patriotism Co Uganda, Office of the President.
You are watching the DOCtalk show.
We are still here with Dr. Okello from Kampala Capital City Authority, and we are still trying to understand and to have a discussion around the fact that the lockdown actually ended. It's more than 10 days now, and yeah, we've been reminded that you and I are the frontline soldiers. It's you and I that are supposed to keep COVID at bay. And then, well, Dr. Okello was sharing just a short while ago, he made us to see the good side of COVID. Hand washing has gone high, and so the diarrhea diseases have come down. The flus and those respiratory conditions have also come down because people are masking. Yeah, so Dr. Okello, capital city, the Kampala capital city, is the epicenter of Uganda. You can't talk about Uganda without talking about the capital city. So are there measures in place by the authority to make sure that actually people are staying safe now that they are back on the streets, back in the arcades, back in the taxi parks? Yeah.
Thank you, Joseph. When some of the restrictions were lifted, public transport and opening of arcades, what we are doing now, and it started yesterday, we have been inspecting arcades to make sure that they can comply to the standard operating procedures. And what we are saying, we don't want crowding, we want 50% capacity, we have to make sure they have hand washing stations. So the teams are outside there and they inspect these arcades, and when an arcade passes, we let you be able to open up. And I always tell people that the economy is made people make the economy. So in order for the economy to be healthy, people have to be healthy. So all we are trying to do is to make sure the businessmen down there are healthy and the teams are down there moving. So those are one of the preparations. For public transport, we have met the stakeholders involved. We are working with police to make sure that people also abide to the 50%. In other words, let's make these areas that are safe, not areas that can be able to transmit disease. So as Kampala, for those areas we are doing, but also we have teams on the ground that are doing surveillance to making sure that are there areas where we are having localized infection, workplaces, factories. We are also doing a lot of behavior change communication. The VHTs are moving around informing people, so that we continuously tell people on what to do. But this is a shared responsibility. Kampala's capital city is going to do its bit, but also the parents outside there, the businessmen, the employers, there is also a bit they have to play. Because once we work as a shared responsibility, then our effects tend to be multiplied. So again, one of the things we saw during the lockdown was gender-based violence. We have a toll-free line, 0800-990000. It is both for emergency services, medical services, but also for any other. People are calling us and saying, no, I've been battered by my partner, both male and female. And we are saying, let's exercise restraint. Let's be able to be more accommodating to each other. We have had stories of unwanted pregnancies outside there. Again, especially among the teenagers school going.
I was reading, and I'm told in Iganga actually 1,000 teenagers have gotten pregnant over the last 42 days. I don't know what the situation is in Kampala Metropolitan.
We have not yet done the study, but I always tell people there are two people involved in this, and we tend to unfairly victimize the ladies, but there is a gentleman, and there is a power relationship. It is usually the person who tends to have the power who tends to affect. So gentlemen outside there, yes, let's exercise, for no other word, let's exercise restraint. Let's not spoil our future. The children who are there are our future. They're the ones that are going to make our country. So let's exercise restraint. Then to the population outside there, we have lessened, or we have loosened the restrictions. This is a chance for us as a population to say, you know what? I am going to take care of myself. What about you? I am going to take care of my wealth. Take care of your wealth, because that is your health. So let's all take care of our wealth, which is our health, And if each of us takes care of our health, then we'll be able, as people say, to live with COVID. But people always say we have to live with COVID, but I'll repeat what I said somewhere. If you can't put on a mask, if you cannot physical distance, if you cannot be able to wash your hands frequently, then you cannot say you're going to live with COVID.
Wow.
And if you put on the mask during the day, and in the night you're in this scafunda, that is illegal. Ladies and gentlemen, you're not living with COVID.
COVID will take you out. You won't live with it. Yes, and we've been talking about the unwanted pregnancies. And His Excellency, the other day when he was giving a speech, he said schools will only be open when all the students have been vaccinated. What is the vaccination situation in Kampala, capital city and metropolitan areas? How are we doing? Do we envisage getting the kids back to school soon, that the vaccines will be available?
Our initial targets, as given by the Ministry of Health, was slightly over 1.1 million people to be vaccinated. Those were the ones that were under the priority groups and the risk groups. We have about 172,000 that have received the first dose. We have about 43,000 that have received the second dose. So when you look at the first dose, people have received the first dose, we are close to 20% of our target, and this is due to the supply that is difficult. But we know that with time we'll be able to get there. But definitely, we saw what happened the last time when schools were closed and very many children seemed to come back when they had COVID and they spread it within the homes. We don't want a similar situation to happen. Schools are, as they are, we are taken to be a little bit of high risk.
High risk, okay.
So to me, seeing how we can keep our children safe may be a risk we can take.
Okay.
Let's keep our children safe.
Okay. Of course, for our students or kids or children that are in school going age, for the time being, it is a risk that you're out of school. But we are trading it, those who did economics, they talk about opportunity cost. The opportunity cost for now is you being out of school so that you are safe. But I know very soon, or sooner or later, we will be back if we keep emphasizing the things that have been told to us. The SOPs, and I won't shy to say them again. Regular hand washing, masking as very religious, and keeping a physical distance. Yeah, we're going to take a break, and we'll be back shortly. Once again, please share the link. Just like one of my friends says, kalink kasharing ebanange. This is very, very good information. That DOCtalk show, that is Facebook, that DOCtalk show, Twitter, as well as on YouTube. Let every one of your friends and family get to know or hear this information.
Show profiles Uganda's healthcare sector. Like a first car on a mission, the Uganda National Health Laboratory Services is on a mission to provide accurate, reliable, and dependable diagnosis to disease prevention, management, and control. As the experts explain in the following expose.
My name is Martin Nahuya Tumushabe. I am the supervisor. The major importance of this section is that we receive samples from all over the country, basically to ensure that we prepare them and give them to the core lab for testing. They come in different kinds of modes. The way they are packaged is different, like different kinds of samples. Ours is to rearrange them and make sure they are ready and accessioned for the lab. One of the things that we do here that is really core for us is HIV. And if you look just right in front of me, there are samples that have to do with HIV viral load. But the total number of samples we receive in general at this section are 6,000 samples per day. The general scope of these samples that we have in the laboratory that we receive here at this section, we have HIV, which comes in two different forms. We have EID, that is for infants. That is when a child is born. From all over the country, we get an opportunity to know these children's status so that we make sure they are protected from birth. There are samples of hepatitis B. There are samples that have to do with referral to other facilities. UVRI samples that have to do with recency, polio, measles that we don't test here, but we refer them to other labs because our transport network is very good. We have a couple of equipment that do help us as we execute our work. We have refrigerators because when samples are brought in from different facilities, certain samples are supposed to be kept in certain conditions. And when they arrive here in those conditions, we must make sure that they are kept in those conditions. This is one of the processes that is very vital when it comes to serving this nation. The effect of COVID-19 in this whole process has been quite a good challenge because it has made us understand that we can go beyond what we have been used to and we can become more flexible. Samples currently have been reducing because transport has been an issue to patients, I think, in the different facilities. So the numbers of samples had declined, but we expect them to come in huge numbers as they have always been coming. Not forgetting that also we are also human beings. Some of us could have picked up the virus, but we overcame it. We thank God that we are still alive and intact as a facility, and each of us is able to come back to work, and we are back in full working mode.
My name is Jonathan Tuhame, and I serve as the laboratory data entry manager. The scope, basically, we do capture viral HIV. We also capture viral hepatitis samples. We also capture human papillomavirus, that is cancer. We also do capture EID and sickle cell, and also COVID-19. What are some of the equipment we use in this section? Basically, we've got computers. We have got servers where we store our data. We've got cabinets where we store some of the forms we capture. We also have got printers and cartridges. We use it to output some of the data. There have been lots of effects of COVID-19 to the team. Basically, because the volumes have been high, we've got to work day in and day out, during day and also at night. And then also the infection rates. Many of the team members have had to be infected. And those are some of the challenges that have come along with COVID infections. What are some of the reasons, the purpose why we capture what we capture, the information we see on that table, and what you see the members are capturing? This information is used to inform the gaps that exist in our health management systems. And as thus, it is used, that information is used by management or by stakeholders for strategic interventions. It is also used for planning and budgeting, for allocation of resources, and it is also used for research purposes. This information is also consumed internationally by our funders or partners to inform some of the gaps that exist within our systems, and therefore the interventions. Privacy or confidentiality is one of our partner issues. It is part of our core values. We make sure that the information that we get from the lower facilities, we keep it confidential. We do not at any one time give out information unless requested legally. There are procedures that are followed to acquire this information. But of course, you know, as we go about our daily duties, there are challenges we meet. As a section, as a team, you see these people working 24 hours, then they're having to sit route, meaning that their backs and their eyesight is at times affected by the light emitted from the computers, and also the potential infections that come along with these request forms, and also the COVID request forms that we receive. So those are some of the challenges that we face. However, we are so very grateful to management. We are also very grateful to the different stakeholders. We are so grateful to the district health teams, the DHOs for the DHIS2 system. We are grateful to Ministry of Health for the input and the support they are rendering to us. And above all, we are very grateful to our partners, the funders, for all the efforts, the finances, and the support they render to us.
Bueno, yaba no mojo, yaba no wishi. I don't know. If it is a boy, I'm going to be calling Hakatabas. The garo ret nyana komani mig. Otio, ha, can't any king grave. Ay. Riama katutumto. Ay. Es guazara mwisho. What yo? You have to look again. Sleep like a baby at home. Yeah. Thank you.
Katoto. Hold on. What about immunization?
No. Nga. Immunization bossy. Entuzaku chikoro wanyi.
Katoto, your son is a citizen of Uganda now. Atogo no mwana witu. Our government has assured that all these essential vaccines, they are free. To us,
you mean immunization is free?
Yes. So we have made sure that there are several health center units where you can take Katabazi and he gets essential vaccines. Before Katabazi reaches the age of 13, he will need to receive immunity against polio.
Polio? Whooping cough.
Tetanus, measles.
Yamawe, measles,
hepatitis, influenza. No. The government will even support you by giving you free mosquito nets to help fight against malaria. Yes.
You are watching the DOCtalk show. Nature that nurtures our life on Earth determines the geographical surrounding that should be protected and preserved by the community.
This is the time we partner with UBC and protect the environment.
Our Environment is a program that will showcase the importance of human responsibility in a healthy environment, that is to say, conservation, waste management and recycling, disease prevention, biogas to mention but a few.
Support the program Our Environment on UBC.
Inspiring Uganda.
Echa COVID-19 chijja kugwa only if we stay at home, observe physical distancing, wear masks properly, sanitize or wash our hands with soap and water regularly, or get vaccinated now.
You are watching the DOCtalk show.
And our point of discussion this evening, really, it's about, now that we're out of the lockdown, how do we keep ourselves safe, especially in the Kampala metropolitan areas, which has the biggest populations all over the country. Yeah, and there are a lot of things that Dr. Daniel has shared. And yes, Dr. Daniel, going forward, I know we've been talking about how we're going to keep ourselves safe, and one of the things that has stood out is the SOPs. That's a terminology that has been known for the last 2 years, and it can't be overemphasized. But researchers have shown that actually it is very contributory to the fighting of this illness. Yes, let's continue to hear from you as you appeal to the Ugandans, as you encourage the Ugandans, as you minister hope to the Ugandans, especially those in the Kampala metropolitan areas.
Yes, thank you, Joseph. My final appeal to everybody outside, as I say, that we are in this together. And Let's stick to the basics. Let us put on the mask. You may think it's uncomfortable. You may think we are having, yes, how do I put on this mask all the time? I may have difficulty in breathing. Ladies and gentlemen, you have worse difficulty in breathing when you're in the ICU. We say this air is free. It is only when you brought the bill for oxygen and you wonder, is this air actually free? So let's put on that mask. It won't cost you much. Put it on all the time. Let us keep the physical distance. And what I'm saying is that does not mean that we are being rude, but we are only saying that we love you very much. So let's see how we can be able to stay together after tomorrow. And let's also wash our hands as much as we can. But again, the vaccines are safe. And ladies and gentlemen, it's a true story. The vaccines are safe.
Oh, yes.
They are very safe. Let's not shy away from them. When there's an opportunity, when government announces the places, go to the recommended places. Only go to recommended places that have been announced by Ministry of Health. Don't go anywhere, such that you can get the right vaccines.
Have you got your 2 shots?
Yes, I've got my 2 shots.
Wow.
And I've been informed Joseph has also got his 2 shots.
Oh, yes, I have.
And by most of the people who fell sick and had who had that 1 shot, they didn't have severe disease. And things are coming out and they are showing this. But just again...
just to make a point there, Dr. Daniel. By the way, I got my first shot, I think around May. And then either 14 days later, or actually I developed COVID. I got COVID. But it wasn't as bad. Yes, I was quite ill, but then I was able to actually to pick out. So when you say that those with vaccines, the number of them that have gotten the vaccines, usually it doesn't, get into the severe forms. I am a living example of that. And when I recovered, actually, I went back and got my 2nd shot.
Great.
And I've tested negative after that.
Yes. And ladies outside there, the vaccine is not going to stop you from giving birth. It won't. So please, let's go and get that vaccine. Gentlemen outside there, it's not going to make you impotent. At least we haven't gotten those things in Uganda. We haven't had stories of people falling impotent. So let's go outside there. And I would encourage, as I say, it's a shared responsibility. My spiritual leaders, religious leaders outside there, let us take care of our folk. Let's take care of our flock. Let's make sure our flock is safe. So when we are ministering to them, please ensure that our flock are safe. To the employers outside there, boss lady, all the bosses outside there, take care of your employees. This is your wealth. You want safe employees, you want healthy employees. Give these messages, make sure the workplaces are safe. To the businessman outside there, take care of the customer. Look after that customer the way you look after your money, because that customer is the one who is going to put food on your table. So let's also make sure that customer is safe. To the cultural leaders outside there, let's take care of our subjects. Our subjects, let's listen to our cultural leaders. Cultural leaders, let's make sure our subjects are safe. And to us, the health workers, Joseph and me, Daniel, will make sure that we'll take care of you. We pledge to make sure that wherever you're in any of the facilities, whether cases here, whether government or private, we'll take care of you. So it's a whole shared responsibility, and let's be part of that effort. Someone used to tell me that, well, no candy, well, no nyumiachi. In other words, when you grow old, what conversation are you going to say? And I want to say the conversation that we all took part in defeating COVID-19 in Uganda.
What a message of hope. What a message of a bright future. There is hope beyond the troubles we've been facing lately as a country, as Africa and the globe because of COVID. But just like pandemics that happened before us, this will too shall come to an end. But then it will take a shared responsibility, just like Dr. Daniel has emphasized it. For us in Kampala, Metropolitan, that includes Wakiso, by the way, nowadays, and Mukono, we've got to keep ourselves very, very, very responsible. Keep ourselves very, very watchful, because the biggest population is here with us. And where the population is, most likely COVID will also be available. So let's continue to watch ourselves with the SOPs. SOPs. Do not be fooled. Do not be fooled whether it's your neighbor. You do not know who is negative or positive until they have tested. And we are not doing this on a daily basis. So let us watch ourselves, and this will delay the third wave. And we hope the third wave will not come. But that will depend on how we do it. Yeah, it's been a great pleasure having you with us this evening. But just like I shared our social media handles before, the DOCtalk Show on Facebook, the DOCtalk Show on Twitter, as well as on YouTube. Please share the link, like our pages. If you have any question or any comment, please leave those comments there, and we'll surely get back to you. If it's a question, we shall get back to you. If you want to see Dr. Daniel in the studio again, it will still happen, but just comment there. My name, once again, Dr. Joseph Gavin Nyanzi. I've been your host this evening, and I look forward to seeing you next week. God bless you, and bye-bye for now.
The DOCtalk Show. The Ministry of Health informs the general public that during this COVID-19 pandemic, we should not forget to take our children for immunization. Parents and caregivers are reminded that the immunization services are still accessible at all government health facilities. Please take your child for immunization on time. All vaccines are safe, effective, and free. Remember to observe the COVID-19 prevention measures as you go for immunization services. Wear a mask properly, covering your mouth and nose. Wash your hands regularly with soap and clean water, or use an alcohol-based sanitizer. Maintain a physical distance of at least 2 meters from others and avoid crowds. This message is from the Ministry of Health with support from partners.